Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the high-grade correct century Turn A Gundam. I'll get it out of the way. Yes, I painted this. But we'll get into the stickers when we get to accessories, so it's fine. Also, this is part 1 of my 50 subscriber special. I wanted to do a kit that is something that I really care about, and I really like Turn A. I absolutely love the Gundam design as well. But I'll also be doing a special review on Saturday, so keep a lookout for that. This is one of the best designs in all of Gundam, honestly. I mean, I shouldn't have to say that. It's Sid Mead, of course it is. But, without further ado, let's start off, as always, by taking a look at the articulation. Okay, getting into the articulation, let's start off, as always, with the head. Camera, focus, please. Okay, that should work. You do get a full rotation because there's nothing actually stopping the head from turning around. You get pretty decent to the back. It can actually look up, and it can look down pretty far. A little bit decent side to side. Though I will say the neck does have a tendency to rotate around because this is just using the regular polycap with a sort of false neck over it. There's nothing stopping it from rotating. Not a big deal, but you will have to pay attention to the little lines on that piece. Now, I will point out these beam saber holsters can be rotated up on a peg. They're mounted onto these back pieces of the shoulder armor, which are on a very slight wiggle. Kind of feel like they could have done something better with that, but it does work, so can't really complain. Chest shouldn't be doing that. Okay. It's not falling off. Can't really complain. Maybe a little bit too far in on one side or something. I'll deal with that later. The shoulders are just on a peg. I mean, there's a polycap in here, but yeah, that's all the movement you're getting out of that. Can go out to the side 90, which is nice. Thanks to that joint, it can go back decently far. And if you rotate this a little bit, you can get just under 90 degrees out to the front. This is mostly just a problem with the actual design at this scale, because the master grade doesn't really have those problems. So let me just fix the chest. Don't know why it's like sunken in at a weird angle. There we go. Sorry about that. There is a rotation above the elbow. I will say that this peg is held in by a polycap, and it could probably be a little bit tighter. You get about 90 degrees at the elbow, which isn't too big of a deal, and you can get slightly more if you pull out that elbow a little bit. But it doesn't really impede any sort of posability, honestly. The only really the only thing it can't do is reach back and grab the beam saber. And as always, the wrists are on a ball joint. Now moving down to the waist, the ball joint here is really tight on mine, but you do get a small amount of movement. This hand, the polycap in there isn't super tight on mine, not a big deal. You do get a rotation and a bit of a crunch forward and back, though like I said, mine is really tight, so let's not worry too much about that. The hip skirts are on ball joints, which means they can rotate around and out and in and out of the way, and it's popping out of the socket a little bit. These are ball jointed. Nothing really to say about them. It's fairly standard that these are on ball joints. As usual, I've separated the front skirt, though they do come connected. No back skirt. Of course, that's the Turn A's design, so no surprise there. The hips can actually get pretty much 90 degrees out to the front. And pretty far out to the back, though that's mostly because there's no back skirt. There is actually a swivel that can... you're not exactly going to get a full splits out of this, but again, it's just the actual design of the Turn-A. Like I said, there's a slight... And there goes the beam saber again. There's a slight rotation at the thigh. There we go, finally got that out. But just because of how far up all the armor goes, you're not going to get much of a rotation there. Thankfully, you get a pretty nice knee bend. I'm pretty sure you can actually get slightly further than that, but I'm not going to push it. You actually get a slight wiggle here at the midpoint of the leg, which is nice. It adds a little bit of expression to any poses you do. And the ankle itself is on a hinge which can pivot a little bit on the polycap it's on, as well as a ball joint for the foot itself, which doesn't really get much of a turn just because of everything down around it. And also there is actually a hinge at the toe. And the leg just fell off. So overall, aside from the shoulders being a little bit limited just from how they did the armor on them, this thing is actually pretty well articulated for its size. Alright, getting into the accessories, let's start off with the stickers, get them out of the way. Obviously you have the eye sticker and the forehead Turn-A symbol, which really is the only one that doesn't look very good. Well, the ones for the beam rifle don't look great either. Obviously I painted the kit, so I didn't use any of these, but I will point out a few points where they didn't give you color correcting stickers. Most of it's on the legs, but these little black spots here on the arms. Obviously the cockpit has to be painted. These little black spots here on the side skirts. This spot, as well as all 8 of the vents around the sides of the legs, and also this little spot in here. And of course the bottom of the feet are the red plastic, so they have to be painted as well. It's not too bad. I mean, just panel lining and putting on the stickers, it'll look close enough that it's not a big deal, though I will say I kind of wish that at least the ones here on the legs, even if these smaller ones weren't included, these are kind of important details. At least the side ones, even if the front wasn't included, not having those painted, it kind of makes it doesn't look as good, honestly. So you do have to put a little bit of work into this to get it looking this nice. I mean, honestly, painting the cockpit is not super easy, but it makes a huge difference in the appearance. If you just leave that white, it doesn't look as nice. Now, let's start off with the beam rifle, because it's actually quite interesting. All the red that you see is painted, and the black stripe up here, but it's all cast in white plastic. They do actually give you a sticker for this red piece as well as the front triangles, which is nice. One complaint I do have is, despite this being a handle, these holding hands don't actually fit onto it. You kind of have to do some cheese to get it to fit on it, just sort of close it around it and hope for the best. But there's the main handle, which if we separate off one of these hands, which isn't very difficult, and also I do like that they did at least give us hands that have a proper palm. All of the accessories have holes in them because the tab for them is actually on the hand itself, which is interesting. It's secure enough anyway. They can be knocked loose, but it's not too big a deal. And also, of course, you have the alternate back, because there's no way they were having this slide out on a high grade. That just connects on there. This is white plastic. It's just the two halves of this sandwiched together. So you will have to paint that gray in order to be color accurate. And with that, you just get the hand around it. A little bit fiddly to deal with, but it is doable. Give me a moment. There we go. Like I said, it is doable. It's not super secure on there, but it is doable. Maybe if I pinched it a little bit more. No, this is just, it's not a very tight connection, but that's probably for the best, because it would be an absolute nightmare to try and get this off otherwise. Of course, you're supposed to brace it with the open hand anyway, so this being a bit loose isn't really a big deal. Let's move sort of back, sort of forward, to the fact that you do get two holding hands, both left and right. Does look a little bit weird with the thumb there, but it works, so no complaints. And you do get the two open hands for the clothes washing scene. And yes, that is why they're included, because they show that picture on the box. Let's get these off real quick and point out that while you do have the two accurate holsters on the back, you do also get these two alternate ones, which have the same molding to hold the beam sabers, and we'll get to those in a moment. But you'll notice these gray pieces hanging off the back. Now these are both one piece. You have to paint the gray. But it's pretty obvious that's how you're supposed to hold this on the back. Now, these actually come off, and you use this tab here in the same hole to have this flat in order to actually have this connect onto the back without clanging against everything. And they actually do include a polycap in this just to hold it onto this, which is a bit of an odd choice. But yeah, that just connects onto the back. Technically, you could probably get away with leaving these, but it probably hit against some stuff. But you use that to connect the shield. Then you take this one and clip it on there. And that holds on to the beam rifle. And then you just swap these out for the ones that are already on the back. And you can actually store all the weapons on the kit, which is nice. That's something that the RX-78 Revive can't even do. I will say it does slightly bother me that the shield and beam rifle are on the opposite sides compared to the hands that use them, but I kind of have to take what you can get. Now, I said I would get onto the beam sabers, and I will. Just plugs in. Probably should have used the one that's a little bit less bulbous at the bottom here, but it looks fine, and it's a pretty sizable beam compared to the actual suit. Obviously, you can see the hole going right through one of these, which means you can't just slide them into the hand. You can... Come on. Just peg them in there. They actually are held on pretty securely. They're not going anywhere, and it holds it at a decent enough angle that you can get away with some pretty nice action shots with it. Now, if I can get the camera to focus on it, you can see this actually fully detailed. All I did was panel line it. These are just one piece. They have the mold done so that they just poke a hole in the end. Which is nice. It means you don't have to fiddle around with trying to put two small pieces together. Also, I swear I didn't forget this, and I'm adding this in after, but underneath this panel here, which... There we go. There is actually a 3mm stand port, so that you can have this up on any sort of action base or Damashi Nation stand that you feel like. I do appreciate that they actually did include a little panel to hide that, since it would kind of look weird if they didn't. Now onto a few other accessories. I just want to point out, before I get into them, that the polycaps for this kit are all white, which is nice. They have a slightly stiffer feel to the usual polycap material, but I don't think that's a big deal. Honestly, I think it'll make them last a bit longer. Now, these aren't leftovers, they're parts that I just didn't cut off because I'm not going to bother with them. You do actually get the core fighter. Unfortunately, they didn't part separate any of it, so yeah, good luck with that. I do kind of feel like, I mean, I can understand this not being separate parts, but I kind of feel like they could have given us a second clear yellow dome. Because metallic gold doesn't quite look the same. Point is, you do actually get the core fighter. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the action base adaptation pieces. It's a slot. I mean, they could have just put a little peg there, but you know. Next up we have the Moonlight Butterfly effect pieces, which the inside of these should be gray, but I'm not using them because like hell I'm buying that P Bandai wing set. So I just left them on the runner. Though I will point out that despite having the detail on these ones, they didn't put the circles on the top. It's completely flat. They could have molded that no trouble. I kind of feel like they forgot it. Like the detail on these ones is there, and these ones is there, and these ones is there. It's only missing the circles on the top ones. It's a really weird thing that they did. Especially when the back actually does have all of the detail. It's a really weird thing that they missed that. Now, as for a quick size comparison, the Turn A comes in at a slightly taller than average height, honestly. I didn't expect it to be as tall as it is. I mean, it's not massive like the Cubelay or anything, but it does come out to taller than the Arc 78. So to wrap this review up, honestly I recommend getting this kit. You do have to do a bit of painting, but if you don't mind painting, it's a pretty excellent high grade. The arms are a little bit limited, but that more has to do with the design not really translating super well to this scale. Apparently the master grade is a lot better, but you know, for a 1/44th kit, this is pretty nice. It does almost everything you want it to do. You do, like I said, have to cheese the hand to get it to hold it like this, but it is still possible, so I don't really have any major complaints. Like honestly, like I said, the only thing is the arms are a little bit limited, but even then it's still within acceptable articulation. It's not like it's a brick or anything. So, that's all for this review. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. You better like the Turn A, it's one of the best designs in all of Gundam. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, helps with the algorithm. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. I have quite a few reviews up at this point. And as always, until next time, happy building.